Is it doing it?
Yeah.
Is it doing it? It's happening. Do we need a filter? How do we look? Hello everyone, welcome to our very first live stream. Oh, look at the people rolling in. Joined here today by Dr. Bosarge. Is it working horizontal or no? Can you see us okay? We turned it horizontal. I'm yelling like I'm a 50-year-old who's never used technology. Yeah? It looks good on that, right?
Dr. Joseph looks like a French bulldog.
Dr. Joseph is incredibly good looking. This is not Dr. B, as they call him in the streets. I know you can't see Joseph because he's not in the frame yet. Whoop whoop! Gang's all here. Listen, I had to cash in a lot of IOUs to get Dr. Bosarge here to come live and join us for this epic event. Come over here, get closer, act like you love me. He's a Capricorn. He's extremely practical. This is not his forte. But you know what? This is a great life lesson. We're expanding outside our comfort zones. That's where the magic happens. Yeah? Good. Welcome, everyone. You see Ty heckling you? Welcome. Leroy, must you be so close to the camera? How about you sit back here, buddy? Linus is sleeping on the job. Welcome to our very first live stream. Hopefully we don't have any technical issues. If so, we just roll with it because that's what 2020 taught us, was to be agile and roll with it. I'm Megan Abbott. Most of you know me as influencer, so you probably would think that I've already gone live, but you know, I haven't. But I also am a life coach, and this is my beloved husband, Dr. Joseph Bosarge, and he is a clinical psychologist. However, we just realized right before it was go time that, is he even allowed to do this as a psychologist? We didn't know. We Googled it, and what we found is that we need to give you a disclaimer before we start. I'm a life coach, so I can talk about anything. You know, there's really no rules. Technically, there are some rules, but you know, it doesn't really matter. For a psychologist, we're supposed to tell you that he is not acting as your psychologist. This is not a clinical therapeutic relationship. That he is here to help provide insight on questions that relate to general topics that apply to lots of people, okay? So even though we collected some questions prior, and you guys are welcome to send us your questions, Joseph, your job can be to look at...
Thanks, Spencer.
What did he say? Yes, I know.
Yeah,
Joseph is famous on the World Wide Web for his spectacular hair. So we'll tag his products later. Okay, good. So we're good. This is not therapy. We're just, you know, talking about relationship questions, issues. And so we're talking all things relationship and dating. You know, the rules are, there are no rules. Maybe get your little ones out of here. I can't promise it's going to be PG appropriate. Okay, we're ready to roll. I mean, we're already rolling. It's live. Okay, question number 1. Oh, it's for me. Megan, how do you handle being married to someone who has such sexy hair? The people want to know. Well, it's tough. I use a lot of dry shampoo to try and compete. And mostly, you know, this is a great lesson actually. When you have a partner who has some sort of spectacular attribute, it's a good test. Are you secure in yourself? Do you feel threatened by, you know, their greatness? And if so, then you need to work on yourself. Luckily, sitting next to this stud of a man, I feel pretty good. So that's how I handle it. Next question.
Thank God.
What was behind our decision to elope to Amangiri? Oh, so if you don't know, we got married just this last year, and we decided to elope to this spectacular resort in Utah. It's on the border of two states, Arizona, Utah, called Amangiri. And it was the most beautiful, intimate wedding with just two of our best friends. One of them married us. It was amazing. So what was behind our decision to elope?
It was just easier.
It was just easier. Yeah, we couldn't, we'd been engaged for a while, and we couldn't, figure out how or where we wanted to get married. And then, COVID forced us all to get agile and adapt. And so, yeah, the opportunity came up to go to Amangiri, and we said, shit, let's get married. And so we did. And it was amazing, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Wow. The contribution on this is really spectacular. Okay.
I brought the hair.
You're just here for the aesthetic value,
Yeah.
like Leroy?
That's it.
That's good. Okay. Here's the next question from somebody. My relationship feels harder than it should be. I know relationships are supposed to be hard at times, but how do I know if it's just not a right fit and I should end it? That's a tough question.
I'd say in general, a lot of people have, are always looking, is it me, is it them, is it me, is it you, is it me, is it you? And asking yourself like a question that time sometimes is difficult, instead of just saying, are you doing everything in the relationship that you can be doing to be your best self in that person, instead of focusing so much on what the other person is or is not doing. So I think a lot of times it's, are you in the right place? Because then you just sit around analyzing bad data.
Ooh, bad data. That doesn't sound like very much fun. Yeah, I second that. I think the question, I get often, not just in relationships, or is it frozen or is it still working?
Mine was frozen.
Oh. I get this question we both get it a ton for relationship coaching, but I also get it with people with careers of how do I know when it's time to go? I'm miserable right now, but is the problem me? Is it my job? Is it my career? Am I just hopeless? And I think the advice goes the same no matter what the situation is have you done everything in your control to make the best of it, to make it work? And there's certain skills that I think are necessary in any successful relationship, right?
Right. I think a lot of, in general, people tend to have a look on life of they just need everything to line up in a certain direction. So they are very dependent on other people to do certain things or certain situations to happen, to be okay if I marry the perfect person, if I find this. So you're constantly in need of another person to do something, instead of maybe learning tools that you can have to just deal with things, because they're going to be imperfect in life in general. So it's always going to be more difficult. So if you have a tool chest or different things that you do with yourself, you're less susceptible to needing another person to do something for you to be happy.
Yeah, and I think another good litmus test to piggyback off of that is if a relationship, the health of a relationship really comes down to the health of the sum of the two individual parts in it, right? The two people in it. If you have two healthy, happy people, you're most likely going to have a pretty healthy, happy relationship. So the question is, oh my God, is the problem you or me? Obviously it's you in our case, but for other people, if you aren't sure, you also can say, okay, move my relationship aside, how happy do I feel in my life, in my own right? I like to blame, him for all my problems, but, outside of my relationship, if I was going to rate, the various categories of my life, how good am I doing? Maybe I need to check myself before I wreck my husband. Okay, good. Have we beaten that one to death? Okay.
Feels pretty beaten.
You already look like you're beaten. I did beat him a little bit before this. Okay, next question. I love my wife, but lately I find myself feeling very drawn to another woman. I'm not going to cheat, and I feel guilty even having the desire, but I could use some help on what I should do about my feelings and how to increase my attraction to my wife. Did you submit this question?
Yeah, I did actually. So this is the intervention with that. I think that, I talk a lot about just in general people, whenever they feel a certain way that they need to act on something. So you feel an attraction to somebody, I need to act on it. I think that, having feelings is always going to be a very subjective subject all the time, but acting on it's a very different thing. And then typically, a lot of times women view more of an emotional connection to someone as almost like a physical with a man. So it's a very tricky subject. So I think that it's a natural thing to feel attraction to other people, but acting on that, and also a lot of times too, if you give yourself the opportunity to think about something else, it's going to be very, hard to focus on what you have. A lot of times when I'm working with couples and they're coming in and one of them is already either emotionally or physically attached to, another person, it's very difficult to work with them or do something like that because they're already foreclosed into something else that's going to seem newer, more taboo, better than what they actually have. And so it's so my thing is like you just take the choice out. So that's who you are, and you're just going to make that work. You can think about it, feel it, but you're not going to do it. And that's,
Which, by the way, I think is something that he's really good at. I don't mean like not cheating. I hope he's good at that. I mean like if you know Joseph, he's one of the most disciplined people you'll ever meet. And I study him to understand why, because I don't really love discipline so much myself. And I realize the way he does it is that he removes any other option besides what he's decided on, whether it's working out or, staying faithful to me or whatever it is. He is very good at making the decision, this is what it is, and he doesn't let himself focus or think about other options like, sleeping in or sleeping with, this hot chick or, whatever. But I would like to speak on this from a female perspective. One is, it is so normal, inevitable that a guy is going to feel sexual energy, attraction to other attractive women. Like that's just life. And if you can't handle that, you need to do some work on yourself, is one point. Second of all, what creates attraction in a relationship? One of the major things is we have a basic need for uncertainty. That's what passion is. Excitement, fun. It's uncertainty. But typically what happens when we get in a relationship, we want to be this close all the time, right? Because it's very vulnerable to be in an intimate relationship. My heart is out there. I've now, relocated my life. It feels already uncertain. And so typically women, not always, but typically women seek to make it like this. We know everything about each other and we're so close and we're best friends. And there's no uncertainty. And so often what will happen then is that, men love intimacy as much as the next guy, and then they need a break. They need to pull away, reestablish their, manly dominance, their own significance. And when they pull away, women typically freak out. What's going on? It feels like there's space. What's going on, right? They basically seek to close the gap again, pushing the guy further away, because now the woman is hunting the man, pushing him further away. And so if he sees then, some other good-looking woman who's doing her own thing that he can hunt, sometimes that's what creates that dynamic. So the point is, obviously, nothing, condones cheating. However, for women, if you want to keep that feeling of like your man is hunting you forever, and by man, this applies to any same-sex relationships also, you need to keep doing you, like maintain your own independence, keep taking care of yourself. You need to feel good about yourself, have friends, have goals, have it going on. So when I'm, strutting down the catwalk of life, he says, oh, shit, What's that? And he is naturally drawn to pursue me, right?
Absolutely.
So the point being, part of what you can do to create the passion, the attraction, is inject more uncertainty in general, mix it up. Don't get, stuck in a rut of like, Tuesday we do this, Wednesday it's missionary, Thursday it's, whatever. Mix it up, bring more general uncertainty, do something fun, something new you've never done together. That can help create more uncertainty. And if you're the woman, girl, just keep doing you. Take care of yourself. And when he pulls away, that's called an intimacy cycle. He pulls away, he does him. If you can stay rooted in yourself, like you just say, all right, cool, I'm gonna go, binge watch Bridgerton or whatever, maybe something even more high quality than that, then naturally he will seek to reclose that gap. And that's called passion, closing the gap. Next question.
Yeah, next question.
Okay. Okay, this is a very popular question or issue. I do so, all caps, much for our family, but I don't feel appreciated and I can feel resentment building. Help.
I think like one of the most documented just in general in literature and just in experiences is like resentment is the one of the biggest impact on relationships. When people don't feel like they can have communication with the other person, they kind of pack everything in, they hold it inside. And I think that's a big destroyer of relationship. The other problem is a lot of times, when people who say like, I always do everything for this, I'm always doing that. And it's really tricky because sometimes you're doing that for everyone else, but sometimes you're doing that because it works. And you're used to, it's an easy way. I do everything for you, and then you can develop an expectation of what it is instead of just doing it because you're love. I mean, love, in my definition of love, it's a skill. It's about going around. Love's about what you give, not what you get. And a lot of people really, kind of they set this up, and then as kind of a litmus test of what's too much. Oh, I do this, whatever, and I have this thing called problem versus principle, where problems are actually things that occur in relationships that you need to solve. Infidelity, maybe substance abuse, things like that. Principles is that I did the dishes the last 5 days and you haven't done them, or you leave your cup around, or things like that. And you have to kind of negotiate those, because every relationship you have is going to have different principles that are made from you. They came from the way you're brought up, and your previous 7 carts of relationship issues that you pull behind you. So I think it's very interesting to kind of figure that out.
Mm-hmm. I think a few things on this one. One is, if you want to feel appreciated, that's what the question said, I don't feel appreciated, then, the adage goes, give what you want to get. Oh, got some hearts on that one. Why, thank you. Give what you want to get. So if you want more appreciation, then start showing your partner appreciation. Even if, and I hear this all the time, but I do everything. Why should I blow smoke up his ass when he does one thing? I'm not going to kiss his ass, right? To make him feel like more of a man. Well, then you shouldn't be in a relationship. Give what you want to get. So if you want more appreciation, the trick is start showing him, or vice versa, her, more appreciation. And then naturally, right? Like if I was doing one thing and he said, man, thank you so much for that one thing you do. I'd be like, wow, you are welcome. And thank you for all the things you do. And in fact, let me do more things because it feels good to be appreciated. So now let me do more things that you're going to appreciate, because that's motivating.
I think too, what with couples and communication is that if someone's doing a lot of stuff for the person, they'll use statistical data to point out to their partner like what they're doing. Like, did you know I did 7 things? Did you know I do that? And a lot of times that doesn't really come across, because people get very defensive and just saying, it makes me feel sad, or I feel anxious, or I feel like things aren't working very well. And just expressing your feelings, what it is. The problem is a lot of people will do that, and they have an expectation that, okay, when I said that, now you're going to make it all better. And then people don't. A lot of times they don't even listen to you. And so you have to be able to express yourself.
Yeah.
But the two biggest words I think in relationships that I think give people the most trouble is respect and expectations. Because they're very subjective, and a lot of it's just, like I said, brought them from your own thing. And so, expectations, when you set those up, a lot of times you're projecting your own expectations, and you don't, you can't be with yourself. I mean, some people like to do that, but it typically doesn't work very well.
One other thought on this one. I think that resentment is unexpressed desire, and that's on you if you haven't expressed your desire, something that you want or need, which I know is something that almost every relationship struggles with, is communication. And on both sides, both sides are guilty of this, men and women, because it feels uncomfortable. It feels vulnerable to ask for what you need, or even to express something that you don't like. Joseph is very good at expressing things that he doesn't like. He's almost too good at expressing things he doesn't like. And I'm a Leo, so my pride is constantly like,
like, I really don't like doing this right now.
Yeah.
But I understand.
What a great job of expressing
give, not what you
how
get,
you feel. So. I appreciate your honesty and your candor. You have to learn to be uncomfortable and communicate with your partner. If you're feeling resentful, like you're doing everything, one, practice giving appreciation for what the other person does do, even if it's one thing. Two, learn to ask for what you want and need. And if you're a female, I guess this goes both ways, but I'm a female, so I have a female perspective. Learn to ask for what you need in a way that makes him feel like a hero, not a failure. Our brains, for some reason, tend to go straight to what we don't like, and then we communicate what we don't like. And men call that complaining, I've learned. So instead, when you feel this thing you don't like, practice asking for, it's a coin, flip it over. That's what you don't like. What do you want? Or rather this way, like the Macarena. What do you want? And then communicate it in a way that he gets to feel like a hero, right? He does it, and then you're like, oh my God, thank you so much. I'm so turned on right now.
So I think, like, one of the things too with, like, this is kind of out of the question, but if I'm talking with people in general about relationships, and they're always like, okay, what do I do? How much am I giving? And then that resentment piece came in there of like, I'm doing this and you're doing that. So a lot of times what I do is I have them draw, I draw like a diagram, okay? And I put like, this is the diagram. And then I put like Joseph here and Megan here, okay? So it's a Venn diagram for all you math geeks. But like the part of our relationship is this right here is the connection, is the middle part of the two circles. Thereby I have all of this, which fills in with my work, my own stuff and everything. And Megan has all her stuff right there. That's a healthy, it could invert like this, if like you're saying, well, who makes more money or whatever, okay, well this circle's on top, or who does more of this, but it's always that connection. This is the fun, the passion, the connection that you have with someone. What happens, unfortunately, is we get a lot of this, which is, we get a circle over here, a circle over here.
Boobs.
Yeah, boobs. And then, or, my other favorite one that we have is, what we're talking about with the resentful person, which is they're in here working out through their partner.
Where you are trying to get all of your needs met through your partner, and you need to just get back in balance of establish some more independence. Yeah, good. Anything else on that, Dr. B?
No. I don't have anything else to say on that. So.
Moving on. How do you overcome defensiveness in arguments when you're getting angry? Yeah, so they want to hear about defensiveness in general.
Well, I think, again, I think defensiveness, how do you get over it? Is that like someone who's being defensive, or when you are feeling defensive? They didn't specify if it was first person. So I think, like, if I'm going to say something like with Megan, I'm going to say, look, I really love Megan. She's an amazing person. I love it. I really don't like doing this today or doing stuff like this because it's out of my comfort zone. So I typically will kind of tell her how much she means to me. And then, by the way, there are some things that are difficult that I don't like to do. So I think, like, defensiveness, if you, and most people with defensiveness comes a lot of times when relationships get into a bad point where the whole game then is, how do we make the other person insignificant? I go back to the data. Let me just tell you how stupid you are, instead of saying, really hurts me. That, you know, a good one would be, did you know that we haven't had sex in, you know, 7 months? Okay, instead of just saying, I really miss being intimate with you and having a connection with you. But that feels very vulnerable, and they know that if they say that, their partner might laugh at them or say something else. And that's why you have to be good with yourself and express what you want instead of using the data, because inherently when people attack you with data, you want to get defensive or attack them back. And so you have to kind of like get them off balance a little bit sometimes by maybe discussing some things that you like about them instead of things that you don't in a statistical manner.
And I think there's an underlying like paradigm problem, is that we are all, you know, taught that a relationship, you know, we find the right person and everything's going to be amazing and he's going to make me feel amazing all the time and it's just going to be, you know, rainbows and unicorns. And I think that the point of a romantic relationship is to help us grow. I actually think that that's the point of all relationships. Oh, thanks for all those hearts, whoever that was, is to help us grow. So, do you know how we grow? Pressure, friction, rubbing. So inevitably the person closest to you is going to bring up yo shit. They are going to trigger you, and the goal of life is not to not be triggered. Because if you are triggered, it means there's a thorn in you that he's rubbing. Now I could blame him and be like, you asshole, why are you touching my thorn? Or I could say, oh shit, I got a thorn here. What is this thorn? Why do I feel so angry when you say this? Why do I feel so defensive? That's protection. It's armor, defensiveness. So I could continue to just be defensive, have armor, but that breaks connection, intimacy. And that's what we're all here for anyway, is love, right? All you need. And so if defensiveness is armor that prevents intimacy, connection, if you feel defensiveness or aggressiveness coming up in you, check yourself and say, ooh, why? What is this triggering? Clearly, I feel like what you're saying is, I'm not enough. I'm a failure. Is that true? Is there some stuff I need to work on with what you're saying?
I think also too, if you just look at like numbers and statistics of like half the people that get married get divorced, and if you get divorced, then you have like, you know, an even like 65% chance of the second one going, you know, divorce again. And I think that what I've seen over the years is like a lot of couples, and in doing research, have a what I call a tremendous pain tolerance, the ability to accept pain, you know, in painful relationships. And I go back to the like and love thing is a lot of couples, you know, married, non-married, stay together for a long period of time. They clearly love each other because they have such a pain tolerance that only you could love somebody to do that. The thing that I say is they don't really like the other person. So they love them, but they don't really like them. So like is more of a choice, and like, look, I love you, which means I'm going to put up with all your shit. I'm going to do this. I'm going to live that. But I don't really like you. You know, you're kind of like the bad roommate I wouldn't have picked if I was going to pick a roommate. But, you know, we're both kind of stuck with this situation. And so my thing is, again, is it's not the love thing as much as how do you increase the like? And I go back to the Venn diagram. That's that part in the middle. What are you connecting? What are you doing as a couple? How are you growing? So.
Yeah, good one. Question for us. Do we set dates and reserve calendar time for connection, chats, dates, sex maybe?
Absolutely not.
We don't. But we don't have kids besides this.
Yeah. So I think like another thing that when we talk about like structured stuff is I do think a lot of times with that relationships in general are you need like discipline, and I say this all the time. It's like if a lot of people went about their relationships the way that they went about their job, they would be the worst people in their job ever. You know, especially if you're talking about a customer, if you're in sales, and you know if you know, you would never just like, oh, let me just like ignore this person for whatever, and can you just give me some money and buy stuff from me? And I think a lot of times in relationships, they just assume, you know, it's we're married, we're joined, we're good, we don't need to work on it. And I use another one of the analogies is, it's like, you know, if you're going to the gym every day because you want to lift more weight, you actually have to go to the gym and push weight instead of just like, oh, I really want to lift more weight. And I think in relationships, that's what it is. So they're very efficient in careers, but not in relationships. And that's the work and doing some of the more disciplined stuff, like consistently having sex with your partner. I get a lot of couples sometimes, they're like, oh, we just never have sex and want to do it. And I think a lot of times when I've never really asked people that are in the moment of actually having sex in the release moment or whatever it is, like, yeah, I really hate this, but the thought, it's those thoughts and I'm too tired, I'm not really, I'm not attracted to you, and other reasons. And there's lots of external stuff. We talked about being, emotionally somewhere else. I mean, one of the things when I was teaching research was on, a lot of pornography and, like watching porn and things like that. That also is one of the things that can make you less attracted to your partner on both sides, not just men, women too.
Yeah. Sorry, I stopped listening to you. I was reading the comments, but I'm sure it was brilliant. So is the point of this like never schedule, or if it works for you, schedule?
I think that it just depends on the type of person you are. I think that, yes, you need to have some type of schedule. If you're an external scheduler, then you need to make a list and make a calendar and do it out.
That's true.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think
That's
another
true.
thing that pops up a lot of times is, well, if I have to tell you to do this, it doesn't count. Or if I have to do that, it
Preach.
doesn't count. It's bullshit. Love, again, about what you give, not what you get. Some guys, a lot of times stereotypically, are not as attuned to the female emotion, and they'll, miss a thing or two. Same thing with women sometimes. And so it's the partner to say is like here's an example is, I don't really want to go, I like to go antiquing, and I know you don't really want to go, so I'm not going to go. My thing is, I don't like antiquing. I'm never going to like it, but I love you, so I'll go. But a lot of people, women or men flip at the other side, won't accept that as like worth it. So then they go, okay, it doesn't count because you really didn't want to do it. Well, as a pretty, masculine male, I do like design, but there's some things I don't like to do. Like, I don't really like doing this, but I'm doing it because it means a lot to her, And so I think that's a good example of it. And if she could go, well, God, Joseph, you really don't want to do this. First of all, she wouldn't know me because I don't want to. She knows I don't like stuff like this. So that's what I'm saying. She still counts it even though I don't want to be here.
That's true. Girls, this is especially girls have this problem. If they have to ask for something, it makes it not special. And sister, you better let go of that because you are not going to get what you don't ask for. And men are wired completely differently than you are. So they, are like just going to battle with the world every day to protect and provide. And we are wired for connection, anticipating everybody's needs. So, if he doesn't do that, just help him understand what you want and need. And then he gives it to you. And then you love him and thank him and everybody is happy. I could just preach on that all day. Moving on. Blending families post nasty divorces. 6 kiddos combined under one roof. Help.
Well, I go back to my other word is respect and expectations. I mean, like, what do you really expect when you blend families with a lot of different personalities and everything? And I think it goes back to really adjusting your expectations and the setup. One of the things I talk about a lot with relationships is the setup. I go back to the job thing is, are you really setting things up the best way that you can? So, I actually have a complete little matrix on dating and stuff that,
matrix.
Maybe I could share at another date. But one of the things I say there is that it's difficult. No, it's difficult for people to, be relationship materials a lot of times when they have hostile with their ex, if they're divorced and they have kids and they have bad relationships with their exes. So it makes it very difficult to then foster this kind of like Brady Bunch, kind of mixed blended family thing. But I think if you set the appropriate expectations, then you're not disappointed all the time. And that's really difficult to set expectations. That's why people come. I work a lot with blended families and trying to setting up some of the expectations, because then you have like goals to work to instead of unrealistic things where everybody feels disappointed all the time.
And my greatest input on this topic would probably be as a child of a blended family that was horrific, quite honestly. And I think it comes down to understanding your basic human needs and that the kids have, which we don't have enough time to get into it now. Maybe on the next live stream we'll teach it. These basic human needs that you have, and being proactive about making sure that you're meeting these kids' needs regardless of the changing circumstances, most notably our needs for significance and certainty. Or your kids' needs for significance and certainty. The more important you can make them feel, right? It feels very threatening, new people, new competition for attention. The more you can reassure, the kids and make them feel both safe, certain, comfortable, and significant. Important, the smoother it's gonna go. But we could talk more about that another time. Okay, I think we may be shifting a little bit to dating questions. But maybe not. All right. But this is for a single people question. Do quality guys get turned off if sex is too soon? I actually posted this on my story and took a poll this week. And here's the findings. 10% of people said yes, quality guys get turned off if you have sex too soon. 25% said no. 65% said it depends on the individual people and the situation. I agree with that. Joseph, what do you think?
Well, it just depends on like where you're at, I would say. I think if I go back to, the problem that I feel like sometimes is with people in relationships is they go and because of the way people date so frequently on all the different online dating apps, and so there's a huge variety of people that kind of go through. That's why we work in a matrix of like figuring out, is this relationship material or is this friend or fill in the rest material. And I think that for me, if you're looking for a relationship, is it especially if people are using the apps to just have sex with women all the time, then or vice versa, it could be either way. Is that you want to be something if you're looking for a relationship, how are you going to really know if this person really wants to be with you, or you're just next on the list to have sex with somebody? So I think it's just, so to me, I would say it would be more important at times to, if it's somebody you really like, maybe you don't have sex with them as early on, and then kind of let it develop a little bit, maybe see where their intentions are. This is really on online dating, I would say, slanted towards that. So I would say, organically, maybe a little bit different, but it's still the same thing. So
I totally agree. I voted in my own poll for option C. It depends on the individual people and situation, because in general, I don't like black and white rules. But I think most notably, it depends, like for the female, guys are not very intuitive, but I find they are very intuitive with whether a woman is confident, genuinely confident, secure in herself. They can sense it. And so if you are having sex early, first date, second date, to please a man, if you're having sex ever to try and make somebody love you, it will not work. And you will get left feeling like trash, used. So it's on you to check yourself and your motives. If you feel totally secure in yourself and you have this amazing connection with this person, then do you. Be safe, but do you.
I don't know. I just think it's from a statistical number base.
The doctor.
That, your chances are probably decline a little bit of that person being special. I mean, I've been in Austin a long time, and I've had a lot of patients, kind of comment, which I can't discuss specifically, but in general, the Austin dating market is a very interesting dating market. And so, like I said, it's like being special, it might be that, hold it back. And some are worried, well, if I don't do that, or they're not going to like me, and I would go, well, are they certainly not maybe looking in the same direction as you anyway? You know what I mean? Like, that's the problem is, I think a lot of people, when they do dating, they have to decide, do you want a relationship or do you want to just have fun with somebody? And a lot of people, they don't understand the concept of dating. It's either relationshiping, it's like they are automatically, this is the person they're going to marry, or this is the person they're going to have sex with. So it's kind of like, flips in on both of those. But I think, in general, if you could figure out which one you really want, and then again, planning, like I said, actually have the setup to have that, versus like that. The example I give is like, I'm a pretty smart guy. Like, I can do a lot of stuff. I could probably cut my own hair, but it probably wouldn't do it very well. You know what I mean? Because I'm not a hairstylist, okay? And I think the same thing goes with, people are really smart and they think, okay, I'm smart, I'm in a relationship, I can do this. But again, I go back to, a lot of people that have relationship issues, they didn't really learn how to be in relationships from their family of origin. Their mom and dad didn't teach them, and then they kind of on the job train. So I think it's very complicated.
We should take a break and give some shout outs. Chris says he's starting to get the feeling that Joseph doesn't really want to be doing this. You're very intuitive, Chris.
Yeah, very much.
You can really read between the lines.
Very masculine.
Oh,
Chris.
hey,
That's
Linz. Hey, Trish. Love you guys.
Spencer and Ty, I'm not talking to you anymore ever after this. So.
Okay. Next question. How do you know when you're ready for a relationship? So that's a good question. You were just talking about which category are you? How do you know when you're ready?
I think, like I said, it's constantly like I tell people, I'm seeing someone sometimes. I'll be like, I'm seeing someone. I actually, a lot of times say it's like, it's not, is knowing where you're at is going to be the best setup probably of you having a relationship. I mean, but again, that's very
But what do you
complicated,
think it takes? It's one thing to want a relationship. A lot of people want a relationship. And he made a point earlier where females typically, as soon as they meet a guy they like, they've already started the relationship. The guy doesn't know that, but the female's already like picturing the wedding and how great my family's gonna love you. And then that's the problem, is they get too attached too soon, and then, it doesn't go well. But I just lost my train of thought. How do you know when you're ready?
Well, I think when you're ready. Again, I'm a process guides the content, and so if you're living your life and you're good, and it's I think the matrix, if I ever do this again, I'll be glad to show that this dating matrix I have is almost a checklist of what you would be to be ready for this.
Ooh.
But I think that it's not having, again, I go back to expectations and setup, and if you want to be in a relationship, you don't pick someone who's going to be a project, which is what like half the people do, because they think, oh man, I can get this done, I can get them to change. And people are very good at chameleon for X equals unknown period of time until they reveal their actual self. And then it's like, oh shit, I didn't see that. The only way to make sure that's better is time and space. It's like the more time and space you have, and again, I go back to my Venn diagram, it's a collection of together and apart, not together all the time, then all apart all the time. And so I think it's very, unless you're really lucky to find someone right off the bat. So
funny story about being a chameleon up front. When I met Joseph, I was so stoked. The psychology life coach would be like, oh, tell me about your thoughts on depression. Tell me about this. I just wanted to talk and collaborate like we're doing now, finally.
Super
which
excited.
He was obviously not into. He was just into me. So I had him take this personality strengths assessment that I use with clients. And I said oh, this is a super cool tool. You may want to use it with your patients. You should take the test, so that I could see about him. And so he did. I read the report. I was like, oh my God, this guy is amazing. His altruistic value is off the charts. He's so stable and cool. Yeah, he totally bullshitted that whole test because he knew what I was doing. Yeah, so the point is, give it time. You don't know somebody, let them show themselves. Anybody can be whoever you want them to be up front. And, oh my God, so many people are guilty of this. Quit dating a project. Often for men, this is like, oh, I can fix you, I can heal you, I can make you better. And for women, it's, I can be enough that you will love me.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest issue is projects, or hey, I have a lot of people that are successful. They think I can do this. I can make someone do something that they don't want to. It isn't going to happen. You have to love someone the way they are and then grow to more.
Yes.
So it has to be enough, and that's hard to say if you move too quick and you enmesh and you don't let the time and space, because you're in the love psychosis of actually this feels great, it's awesome, and all of a sudden it just doesn't feel good anymore. Yeah. And so it's more of a journey, not destination. That's another kind of thing I always say is relationships are a journey, not a destination. If you take someone that's really hard to be with, you have to say, well, we're married, we're going to make it to the end. That's a destination. The journey is, I can go through the rough times with them. I can go through the things with them, and I'm still going to I got to enjoy the journey. And so a lot of people, pick people that, you know, it's like, oh shit, I just got a destination, this one, man. We're married, we got kids. Okay, you know, till the kids are gone or until we can afford to do something, whatever. Instead of like, this is a journey. It's going to be rough and I can take it, but I don't want to throw myself off of a building. It's that painful all the time. And I can actually live with it. Sometimes have discomfort, not do anything. So I think journey destination is a big one.
Journey destination is important. I, as a female, before I did a ton of work on myself, I allegedly had some daddy issues.
I'm happy for that.
But
Thank God.
But here's the way that it played out is my dad was a professional football player, right? Like hot shot shit, Hall of Fame, right? Big deal. And so I went on as an adult to seek essentially, you know, different iterations of him, player basically. So I kept seeking out these players, you know, trying to be loved.
I'm going to the bathroom right now.
No, sorry. But I'm going to wrap this up. Oh, thanks, Mindy, for all those hearts. Love you. But the way I would do it is, you know, I would not see somebody as they are. Clearly a player, not trying to have a relationship with anybody. But because I had my own filters coming in, what do you call this? Recapitulation of trauma? Is that what it's called?
I mean, it's like, you know, it's kind of the theory of like when people are traumatized, then they keep asking, why do I keep doing this over and over again? And it's like this kind of psychodynamic type of thing where if you keep hurting yourself all the time, one day you might not get hurt, and so you keep doing it over and over again. People do that in relationships all the time. They keep putting themselves in these really bad positions, and everyone else around them's going like, you know, do you not see
We
this?
know a few of those people.
I can't comment on that.
Oh man, don't get too close to the camera.
Okay.
Okay, wait. So yes, so especially if you have trauma, you did not get some sort of love from a parent, family of origin, as the psychologist says, then you will go on and keep seeking that over and over. But for me, if I keep trying to get a player who is only concerned with himself to love me, obviously that's never gonna work. I'm gonna spend my life feeling not enough. So until I realized, oh shit, I'm doing this. It's not that I'm not lovable. I am pursuing people who are not willing, able, interested at all in loving someone besides their damn self. So that's where I think you got to check yourself. There was something else I was going to say on that, but I've had too many concussions. I lost it. Anyhow, so quit seeing the potential. All right, see them as they are, not as you wish or think they could be. I'm a life coach, and I cannot convince or fix somebody to be relationship material. See them clearly as they are. Okay, moving on. And we'll probably wrap it up, 10 minutes. So let me see here.
Oh, God.
You know you're kind of liking it now. People are digging it.
No, I'm not.
Who wants more? You want this to be a recurring thing?
No.
Yes. Okay. Okay, here's a good one. I've been dating... No, hold on. This is good. This is a complicated one. I've been dating a girl for a few years. Our relationship's amazing, but her dad...
Linus is going to handle that.
Intruder alert. Her dad doesn't like me. He's very successful, and he thinks I'm not good enough for his daughter or to be in their family. It's made me a little insecure, and admittedly, I haven't handled it all that well. She recently broke up with me because it was just too hard with her dad and I, and now I don't know what to do.
So one of the problem-solving tools that I work a lot with, I think that's very helpful is, you know, whenever you feel like there's a problem or something going wrong, it's like the first thing that you say is like, okay, is this a problem? Well, yeah, this is a problem. And then, is it my problem?
Ooh.
Okay? Because I'm a believer, you can really only solve your own problems. And if you need somebody to solve your problems, I go back to that leverage position again. And so to me, it's like, you know, if you know, what's in your control? And I think that's the way you know, your father and what he thinks about this person is not in your control. What's in your control is what you want to do as a person. And I think one of the biggest things that happens a lot of times is people get out of what they are in control of and then feel like a failure or take a situation and make it a lot more complicated. And I know that's basic, but it's like asking yourself, what am I really in control of and what can I do? Because if that's all you can do, that's all you can do. But people don't want to do that. They still think they can get other people. Again, I go back to that beginning of needing other people to do something. And for me, it's like I go back to another problem solving choice I have. It's like you have A, B, and C. Choice C is always the answer everyone wants, is for my dad to wake up and realize what an idiot asshole he is and love my partner because I love him more, right? That's okay, this is obvious, he should do that. It's not gonna happen.
Option C is not actually an option.
It's not really an option, it's a pseudo option. You really have two options. You have option A, which is, I can do what I want to do, love my partner for who he is, and my dad's just gonna feel this way. Or B, I can just this is just who my dad is, and if making my dad happy is what I want to do, hey, goodbye, boyfriend, okay? And I'm gonna just accept that. And those two are the only real two options you have, because most of the time when I'm talking with people, I don't have choice C available to me to talk to.
And this kind of relates back to what we just said of see somebody as they are, not as the potential of what you think it could be. This is a guy who wrote this to me. If your girlfriend that you're so in love with is willing to break up with you because of her dad, well, is that really a partner that you want? Don't you want somebody who makes you feel so important and treasured and special? And if she's not, maybe she's just not old enough or, secure enough in herself, but see her as she is, not the potential of what you think could, should, would be. All right? Okay. I've been dating a guy for a long time, years, but he won't propose to me. What should I do?
Choice A, B, and C.
What does that mean?
Choice A, look, we've been dating a long time. I love you. I would like to get married. Choice B, I guess that this is what I'm going to have because he just wants to doesn't ever want to marry me, and I have to accept that that's just who he is, and I can't resent him for that. I'm just going to do that. Choice C is he wakes up and realizes what a dumbass he is and decides to marry me.
Damn.
What's under your control?
That's true. I do agree you have to focus on what's in your control. And I also think that if you think about like a guy and what makes him want to commit, part of it is timing, right? Like depends on where a man is at in his life and what he's wanting. And then another huge part of it is, again, typically, like I said at the top of this live stream, is that like when women feel uncertain, they typically seek to get more certainty by kind of hunting, pushing. Why haven't you proposed to me, right? We kind of cling on, and men instinctually are repelled by clinging on, by like begging, hunting. When I feel insecure, if ever, about our relationship, I do not go, what's the matter? Why don't you love me? I go put on my hottest outfit and heels and just strut on by. And then he says, and I mean, that's a metaphor for your relationship. Check yourself and say like, are you right now, marriage material? Where could I do and be better? And then if you have really felt like I've done everything in my control, I feel really good about me. I've shown you everything that I am. And if you don't feel like you want or are ready for me, then yeah, I have to take care of myself and leave a situation where clearly I'm not going to be able to feel the way I want to feel and deserve to feel loved. Because every woman, let me just get on a soapbox real quick. Every woman deserves to feel adored. Like you are the most special thing there is, and with a man who makes you feel that way. Joseph makes me feel like he won the lottery. Obviously he did, but he makes me feel that way. And every woman, I've dated so many men where you just constantly felt like you weren't enough, but not so many men.
Do we have to
like,
keep hearing that every time?
A few.
I never dated anyone before Megan. So.
Right. And so anyway, you need to take care of yourself. How do you want to feel in a relationship? If your partner is not making you feel that way, learn to ask for what you want and need. And then if they aren't willing or able to give it to you, then you have to give it to your damn self.
And again, I get I'm oversimplifying this with the ABC thing, but it really is what's under your control. And once you have said what you want, then that's it. And again, one of the last thing I'm going to kind of leave you with is one of the ways that I think is very helpful in, we talked about resentment earlier, and so there's a column over here that's like, this is resentment, and then right here is that's just the way it is. That's the way the person is, or whatever. It's the way you file it. If you file it in the, I'm just eating shit, I'm doing this and whatever, then it's going to go in the resentment. You're going to just bury it deep, and it's going to like pop up one day and blow up. The other one is, that's just who it is. You know what I mean? I like this whole Instagram and all stuff makes me feel very uncomfortable and whatever, but I just know this is who Megan is. She wants to do this and do that.
World's
so I
best
file it
influencer.
instead of just like, I'm just going to do this thing while the football playoffs are going on and I'm here on a Sunday on my day off. So like I said, I don't file
Sorry
into
about
that.
the football
I
game,
put it
everybody.
into, that's just the way my wife is. You know what I mean? So
Look
okay.
at you. Okay, I think that's about it. We didn't get to all the questions. You guys submitted a lot of questions, so thank you for that. Maybe I could convince him to do more. I can't promise that, but I will do more. I can only control myself, and so I will commit to do more. And we can talk about more things than just relationships. We hope you found this helpful. You can always message me with other questions that you have. We love you. Thanks. What nice feedback.
I still don't love you, Spencer. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, Spencer. I love
Can
you.
one of you as a guest speaker next time, Spencer?
Yeah, and Ty. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We love you. Signing off if we can figure out how to do that. How do you do that?
This is how.
You just leave.